The atmosphere at my grandfather's estate was thick with manufactured grief and very real greed. I stood quietly, wearing the only decent suit I owned, the one that spoke of years spent serving overseas. To my wealthy, dismissive family, I was simply Maya, the failure, the one who chose military service instead of the boardroom. My cousin, Julian, the self-proclaimed heir, barely glanced at me. He was loud, confident, and utterly dismissive. This story isn't about the wealth they inherited. It's about the single final joke my grandfather played, and the price my family paid for underestimating the quiet soldier in the corner. The moment the lawyer began reading the will, I became the target of their snide commentary. Julian laughed openly, ridiculing my chosen career path and calling my service a misguided phase. He assured everyone that the fortune, the vast majority of the real estate and the family business portfolio, was obviously destined for him as the family doesn't invest in debt, Julian's debt excluded. My uncle, standing tall with a smug grin, chimed in, pointing to my modest suit. Look at her. Still wearing that cheap, off-the-rack attire. She probably believes her little security consultancy is a real business. When will you stop mooching off the goodwill of others, Maya? They had planned a celebratory dinner at my expense, mocking the paltry inheritance they were sure I'd receive. A small annuity, perhaps out of pity. The lawyer, Mr. Thompson, a man whose face was etched with neutrality, read out the main assets, each one confirming Julian's destiny. The mansion, the yacht, the controlling shares. All to Julian. I remained silent, absorbing the familiar, corrosive humiliation. I knew better than to challenge their narrative. The lawyer proceeded, announcing that Julian would inherit the bulk of the estate, exactly as expected. My share. A single remote plot of undeveloped land in Nevada. A cruel final joke, a piece of desert scrub they deemed utterly worthless. My uncle smirked at the news, and Julian let out a triumphant, sneering laugh that echoed in the library. A patch of sand. Perfect for a failed soldier to pitch a tent. He mocked, raising his glass of champagne. I felt the weight of being the perennial outsider, the professional failure they had always declared me to be. But as Julian began his victory speech, congratulating himself on his destiny and brilliance, I simply smiled, a slow, deep smile that finally reached my eyes. I was waiting. It was at that precise moment that the mahogany doors of the library burst open, slamming against the wall. A figure entered, imposing and severe, dressed in the full, starched uniform of a 4-star U.S. Army general. The silence was so absolute you could hear the champagne bubbles pop. The general's presence was a seismic event. He radiated a power that Julian's inherited wealth could never buy. He didn't look at the family, only at me, standing like a pillar of steel. The room fell into immediate, profound silence, the shock replacing the greed. The general wasn't there for the funeral. He stopped directly in front of me, executed a sharp, perfect salute, and announced, "Commander Maya Vance, you are needed immediately. The secretary is on the line." Julian scoffed, breaking the silence. "Commander? She's just a failed soldier who cleans engines." The general ignored him completely. He looked directly at the lawyer and then at the astonished faces of my family. "We are here to claim the land detailed in the will. Commander Vance's plot, while seemingly worthless, is, in fact, the sole legally mandated access point to a government-controlled $500 million lithium reserve, critical for national defense technology. The worthless land is the key to a federal extraction contract Julian's mining supply company desperately needs for its survival and its IPO." Julian's face went white with a terror that instantly dissolved his arrogance. My uncle demanded, "What does she know about lithium contracts?" I stepped forward, returning the general's salute with professional discipline. "I know its exact location, Uncle. I also happen to be the CEO of the military technology firm that holds the exclusive federal extraction contract for that entire region." The small print of Julian's inheritance stated he would receive the assets dependent upon the continuation of his supply chain contract with the government. That contract, signed just weeks before Grandpa's passing, explicitly requires access through the plot he gave me. My grandfather didn't give me the dirt. He gave me the key to Julian's future. And now, I own the only piece of land Julian needs to survive this coming quarter. Julian dropped his glass. The champagne spilled onto the Persian rug. He staggered toward me, tears welling up. Maya, please. We're family. You can't do this. That land is vital for my IPO next month. Please sell it back, I'll give you double the market value. His pleas were pathetic, his voice cracking with genuine fear. He was no longer the arrogant heir, but a beggar facing ruin. Julian's triumph shattered into desperate, pathetic pleading. His entire inheritance, the vast fortune, the sprawling real estate, was functionally useless without that single plot of worthless land. He needed me, the failure, to survive. I looked at my family, not with anger, but with cold, symmetrical justice. The family hierarchy had just collapsed into dust. I had never been the failure. I was the untouchable, strategically placed asset. The general escorted me out, leaving Julian weeping amidst the wreckage of his stolen, worthless legacy. The family found out that underestimating a decorated soldier can be a costly mistake. My grandfather, knowing the truth about my ambition and Julian's weakness, set the ultimate trap. Julian inherited the money, but I inherited the power. If you've ever been called a failure by those who should support you, this story is for you. The greatest victory is always the one they never see coming. Drop a comment below if you believe silent strength always wins, and subscribe to Just an Unusual Story for more high-impact narratives.